Hello, Philadelphia! I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gargano Show!
Good morning, Philadelphia. How you doing? Well, that's good. My name is Bill Matz. I am your fill-in director of fun and games for the morning. This is the Anthony Gargano Show, brought to you by our friends at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Go to TrueMarkFinancial.com. Get that money right. I am here today with, the staple of the show. It is VG Violations. Greg, what's up today?
How are you, Bill?
I am quite well. You know, second to last Flyers game of the season last night. And I'm just really, I got that senioritis hard.
You feel the end coming? You ready?
I'm texting with Charlie last night just for Thursday's post game. I'm pretty sure I'm going to bring in a bottle of champagne to pop.
Oh no, that's nice. Yeah.
It has been a long year for
has
for
it
our
has it
Fly
felt
guys.
long?
It has. It's just the games have been so meaningless for so long.
Right.
And we're going to talk to Mike Sielski later today. He wrote a column the other day, kind of about a couple of different things of the state of Philadelphia, but really the Flyers and how like the goaltending has been holding them back so much. And
For like 30 years, it feels like.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But even in the last couple of years, how hard it is to assess everyone else when, you got no shot because you have the worst goaltending in the league.
I read that. Like, is it difficult as a hockey guy to assess a defenseman if the goaltending stinks?
I do just think there is that tendency to play like just kind of do too much if you think way more shots than should go in are going to. And also, like, this is something I'm going to ask Sielski about. When you see, Tyson Forster, he's got 8 goals in 6 games.
He's on fire since
Like,
Torch. Torch is holding him back.
What does it mean if, like, the season's been over since February? Like, do we actually care? But I guess what we have to start with is, of course, those fightins.
They're back. They're back.
They are back. We are so back, baby. They lost 5-7, but last night in the whipping wins.
The win was crazy.
It has been absolutely insane.
It's the Canadians' fault. Sue Serio on Fox News, it's all about these Canadian wins coming down and screwing everything up.
Whatever it is, blame Canada. That's what I always say.
It's always
Whatever it is, the Phils are back. They win 6-4. The bullpen locks it down. We get some long balls. They produce a couple of runs.
Everything you want.
Yeah, Brandon Marsh somehow got a run in.
Yeah, he didn't strike out with people in runners in scoring positions. Pretty amazing. Bohm making good contact.
Great for him. I do love it. I tweeted this last night. Like, I love and have missed Phillies Twitter more than it might be my favorite part of Philadelphia sports, honestly, because we have Eagles brain in a season that is 10 times longer. And every single game, we're so done. It's over. We're back. And I love it so much. But we're 17 games in. Like, what is the temperature on this? Like, what are we feeling? I've been so locked into the Flyers. I have the game on my laptop as I'm watching the Flyers on TV last night, trying to keep up. No, I'm doing this today. It's the Phils. It's April.
Yeah.
Could it actually matter? No, but we're going to get nuts about it either way. What are people feeling about this team?
There's two senses of there's two groups of people. Some, like I think me, are like, all right, it's a long season. We know what we got. They're a good team. I mean, Vegas, all the analysts, they can't be that wrong. This is one of the top 4 or 5 teams in baseball. Probably the top 1 or probably the top 2 in the National League after the Dodgers. But then you have people. There is, I think, a cumulative effect from a carryover from last year. We're seeing the exact same thing we saw last year was a problem. And I think you can look at it like the first 4 games of the Eagles. That collapse carried over. Eagles are 2-2, and everyone's bugging. And then they just turn it on and rip through. And I think that's what we'll get. I think we see this cumulative carryover effect. We're scared about how we went out last year, maybe the last 2 years in the playoffs. And it looks like the same team. But their pitching's good. It hasn't even been 75 degrees on one of their games yet, I don't think.
No, and that's the thing is, like, when we get into September and hopefully October, and when we have in the past, how many times have we been like, oh, they won a bunch of games in April and May. Who cares?
Right.
What are they doing now?
Right.
It's like, well, they're 10-7, so we're losing our minds.
Yeah.
And it's that's not good enough. How are you going to keep up with the Dodgers? The Braves are going to get hot at some point.
Sure.
The Mets are spending $1 trillion. Like, how are we going to keep up? And to me, I'm just trying to take it all in stride this year because you do wish away part of your summer when it's like, well, nothing matters till October. Like, all right, but this is all we have. Like the Eagles ain't going to start playing on the 4th of July. That's just not the way it's going to go.
No.
So I do want to kind of enjoy it. And it was David Murphy had a column today, maybe yesterday. What did we think this team was?
Yeah, it's that soundbite. They are who we thought they were.
Exactly. Like, what exactly were the expectations here? If it was 110 wins, yeah, we're all probably going to be very disappointed. And maybe they're not one of the 2 best teams in all of baseball. But like you said, they're top 5 or 6. And in the National League, it's hard to say a ton of teams are better than them.
No.
It's
right now, I think you got the Dodgers and the Padres are hot. I mean, that's not going to sustain that rate. And I think the Phils are the best team in the National League East. I think they have the better lineup. I think they're the better the pitching. The bullpen's turning around. Romano's got 3 appearances now where he faced the minimum amount of batters. So he's finding his groove. His velo's at like 95 miles per hour. That's what you thought you'd get from him. So I think it's coming together. It's just, and I'm looking at the bats. Matt Gell, before yesterday's game, he compared the 2024 Phillies with 2025 through 16 games. Last year, they bat 234. This year, they're batting 236. Last year, their on-base percentage was 310. This year is 326. Last year, 16 home runs. This year, 15 home runs. Last year, 58 runs. This year, 64 runs. I mean,
it's the exact thing.
Yeah, and we thought at one point they might win 105 games last year.
It did happen. There was, and it was funny at the time, and it became funnier as the season.
Felt like they couldn't lose
in the second half when it's like, well, what the hell happened?
Right.
Like it was. Like, no, they were never going to, win 120 games and set a record or anything. Like,
it was fun to believe it, though.
It's of course it is, and that's baseball, and it's where you get that Eagles brain in the middle of the summer and go, every single game is the biggest game of the season.
Right,
Aaron Nola tonight. If he doesn't do it, I think we're looking for another starter. It's not enough to have 3 great starters if you don't have 5. And I do think we have fallen into that trap a little where we see this lineup and what it is supposed to be, or at least what these guys were supposed to be when they signed or were traded for, and it's not quite working out. But you just have to believe some of these dudes are going to come around. 2 players on the team right now have an OPS over 800. That will change. Will this offense become magically consistent? I doubt it. But even though it's the same team, I'm not automatically expecting the same result because, as we've been told time and time again, that's baseball. It is a very random game. If they happen to be hot in October, it could be like 2022 or better.
There are so many of those slow, like little sayings and cliches with baseball the old heads say, and I hate them, but they're all pretty much true. And Bohm's going to turn it around. He's a good hitter. I mean, I know
he's not this bad.
No, we know that, and he's actually. I pulled a stat. I saw something on Twitter. He's the 6th unluckiest hitter this year. And when they say that, they look at his current slugging percentage versus his expected slugging percentage, which takes in, exit velocity and angle. So he's the 6th unluckiest. And that's going to eventually turn around. He's hitting the ball well. He's not like Marsh, who's striking out 90% of the time. Boom, he's just got to get his head right. And I think last 2 nights, he's had some hard hit balls. I think his confidence is going to come around.
Yeah, drives in a run last night, and it's like I read the thing. It was, he on his balls hit over 100 miles an hour. He's got like a 123 average, and the expected average is like 600.
Yes.
And I know that doesn't do anything for you in the moment. Like, okay, but we didn't win that game. There are no expected wins at the end of the year.
Yes.
But it's baseball. The sample size is gigantic. It does eventually come around usually.
Gigantic. They always say, the old heads will be like, the stats always end up like the back of the baseball card, right?
One of those other cliches, but more times than not, it's, if you're expecting 30 and 100 from a guy, that's usually where it ends,
Yeah.
I do think that will come around for Bohm, and they do need him to be better. They need all their right-handed bats to be better.
Absolutely.
I mean, JT Realmuto, Bohm, whatever it is, these guys do have to hit.
Yeah.
But I expect them to at least be better than they have been.
You do?
I do. Like, JT hit his first home run last night. I think you're going to be able to get him off his feet a little bit more this summer. Maybe that will help. I don't think we're ever going to see, at least at bat, best catcher in baseball, JT again. But I think he'll be fine enough if the other, all the other $20 million plus guys do their job.
Yeah, coming in, I'm not a big JT fan. I didn't expect much. I figured maybe we get 15 home runs out of him this year. We'd be lucky because his power really diminished last year. But
really has.
He had knee issues, so they told us the knees were fine now, so the power come back. I just think he's aged quick. The thing is center field, and you knew it was going to be an experiment, and they told you they're going to try Marsh as an everyday, and I guess you give him till June, but right now it seems pretty obvious he's not an everyday player.
I really, really want to love Brandon Marsh. He's a fun guy.
He's very fun. He seems like a guy we'd get along with.
He seems like a dude I would love to hang out with.
Yes.
But man, it has just been.
I don't know if he comes out throwing a little water, cups of water down your back.
And that's when they're winning. That stuff's real fun, and then it's what we point to, like it's annoying when they lose.
It's serious.
But like, it's just pretty obvious that since they acquired Marsh, they've done very little else to address that position, and it hasn't worked.
Yeah,
it was okay. We're gonna give Marsh a shot. We're gonna give Marsh another shot. Oh, here's Rojas for a little bit. We're gonna give Marsh a shot. And it just hasn't come together.
We're going to give Marsh 3 days to get his head right. And Rojas was so bad. Marsh is great.
You know what?
Great day in the cages today. Let's get him back out there.
I think there was a little misinterpretation from the couple of days or 3 days.
Yeah.
We got to remember Rob Thompson is Canadian. 2-3 days in the metric system, that's one game. That's I think it's like meters and yards and feet, whatever all that is.
Perfectly.
I think that's really what happened there. Just a little lost in translation.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Lost in translation from Topper. But do you get the sense people are kind of, okay, when are we going to bring up some of the prospects? Are we going to trade for somebody? Like, how do they address this? Because the center field thing, that is a legitimate concern, I think. It's okay. You've done nothing in 2.5 years to address this position, and it continues to be the biggest hole in the lineup.
And there's not a lot of talent out there. Coming into the season, Major League Baseball ranked the top center fielders, and Marsh was ranked 6th coming into the season. So
maybe just one of those expectations things, like with JT, like, yeah, he's still really good for a catcher. It's just there aren't many good ones.
I don't think, So I don't think at the trade deadline there's going to be a lot out there. And the Dodgers have a glaring weakness at center field and second base. They have Tommy Edman. They have to figure out where they're going to play him. But if they play him in second base, they're going to be on the market for a center fielder. That's not someone I want to go bidding against because they have there's no restraints with those guys. And they have a farm system that's loaded. They got a catcher who's their number 2 prospect. So I'm worried about center field. I think they're going to be
interested in Brandon Marsh. Maybe?
I don't think so.
Kill 2 birds.
So I think they're going to have to get an old head bat and maybe someone who can play half-ass center field. I don't know.
It continues to be the major concern, but I am choosing to look at this positively and say,
like I know everyone loves Crawford, but he's also, he makes contact. He's got not a lot of power, but he's a left-handed bat as well.
I feel like this has been an issue since. Like they signed Jim Tomei. Like, hey, we're nothing but lefties. Like this has been an ongoing problem for the team. They just can't seem to find a right-handed bat consistently. Like even they lose Pat Burrell after the World Series. Like, yeah, we got Raul. Like, he's also left-handed. Like it just seems this has been like the way goalies is a problem for the Flyers. We're just super left-handed. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
An ongoing thing for this
team. They're almost like blindly unaware because the other day we went through all their prospects. They don't have a left-handed bat prospect in their top 12. It's unbelievable to think of.
All right, speaking of unbelievable, it is Aaron Nola tonight. And man, another guy.
Johnny Marks run out of here. He's an Aaron Nola hater number 1.
He went to the bathroom.
No, he's in the bathroom.
You'll see him come by again.
He is a major hater of Aaron Nola, and it's another one where I really want to, but he is maybe the most frustrating athlete in the city. It's like we've seen you be so good. But it's another, okay, I guess we just have to change our expectations of this guy. He's never going to be what we thought. And now he's almost 32.
But what do we think he is? He's a really good 2A, 3 pitcher. Really good. No matter what stat you pull up, he's like in the top 24 to 30 of major league pitchers. And there's 30 teams.
The fact that he's just become more of an innings eater is frustrating. But it is... The list of guys better than him still isn't super long. There's plenty, but it's not as if he's a bottom of the barrel pitcher. If he's in the middle of your rotation, it's okay. But I think people are still just kind of clinging to you were supposed to be an ace, and that it's been so long since then.
I mean, he has his moments, man.
He certainly he does.
He's a very solid. I think he's a 2. I know I'm going to get crushed. I know he gives up the long ball, but when he's right, he's right. He does have his one inning where he gives up. He gives up the home runs. He's around the plate a lot. His breaking ball's really nice. He eats up a ton of innings, like you said. I know you don't want to say he's an inning eater, but that's hard to do at that level. He's not a Kyle Gibson inning eater. He's like a good inning eater.
In a sport where there aren't innings eaters anymore, like everyone goes 5.
Yeah.
The fact that you can get 6+ out of him. Now, he hasn't gone longer than 6 yet this season.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can consistently put him down for 190, 200 innings, 200 strikeouts, like while it's
200
not
strikeouts.
While it's not all the results we want, he gives you a chance.
He gives you he should give you 6 innings, 3 earned runs. That's a quality start. I think he's a quality start machine. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't. We had Marks talking about him as Joe Bland. Joe Bland stunk. I know Aaron was getting 24 mil, which is part of it, but that's not a huge amount in this crazy world of baseball starting pitchers.
No, that's one of those things we have to recalibrate. Like $20 million is nothing in baseball, which is hard to say out loud.
Yes.
$20 million is nothing, but in this world, it isn't.
Right.
Like it's not. Oh man, Cliff Lee, 20, 25 mil. Yeah, that's not what it is anymore. He gets 40, 50 now.
Yes,
You know,
right.
Like, that's just the way it goes, and we have to kind of recalibrate. Oh, we're paying this guy 24 mil. Yeah, for 200 innings. You know,
Right.
like that's
200 above average innings.
Yes, except the one sponsored by the Toyota RAV4. Those ones are the ones we could do without. I really, I have this theory that Wells Fargo has been jinxing the members of that building since they took over the naming rights sponsorship.
Yeah.
And that's over now. It ends the naming rights. They're up in August. Maybe that ends the jinx and all the bad luck of the Flyers and Sixers.
You think it's just in the name. You don't think there's anything else
Probably nothing
going
to
on
do-
in the building?
Nothing to do with ownership.
Oh, no.
nothing
I'm
to
all
do.
about the
Yeah.
metaphysical, spiritual stuff, man. I love this stuff.
Maybe the Toyota RAV4, we have to just get rid of that as well. Like, that's just another one of those things that's bringing us down.
Dude, I'm really...
Unless they want to sponsor us, in which case I am a huge fan of the Toyota RAV4.
Yeah, my mom's been
Drive
driving
3 of them.
I'm curious, man. Like, the Wells Fargo is done?
The naming rights expire in August.
Have they announced the new?
They just have said, like, Wells Fargo was like, we're not going to renew.
All right. Wow, interesting.
It's still the original deal from like 1996 because all it's been is the bank changing hands. It's
the same group?
It
So
is the
FU,
same-
course dates, it's all been the same?
yes.
Oh,
Wachovia.
wow.
It's all been just banks
Wachovia.
changing hands, changing names. This is the first time they're actually going to have a new sponsor in 30 years or so.
All right, then I get it. The curse
It's
is
time.
over. I'm feeling
I
good. Yeah.
I think the curse is finally going to be over.
Yeah.
Seasons are done. Here we go into that. All right. Let's take a quick minute, tell you about a couple of our sponsors. And we got to lead it off with our friends. We got to lead it off with our friends at the Bet Park Sportsbook. Listen, tonight, as Philly baseball hosts San Fran at the Bank, you can bet individual Philadelphia baseball player performances like player hits, homers, RBIs, strikeouts, and much more. And you can do it with the Bet Park Sportsbook and online casino app. They have you covered. Whether the Fightins win or not, there's always another way to win on the Bet Park Sportsbook and casino online app. It's to bet on sports and to play all my favorite casino games in the palm of my hand. Play with live dealers right on your phone. You can play blackjack, roulette, craps, poker, and hot online slots like Cash Eruption, 88 Fortunes, and Cleopatra, all the online slots. Plus, the slots based on your favorite streaming shows like Squid Game, Breaking Bad, and Peaky Blinders, and all your favorite classic casino games from wherever you are. And right now, new users get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours after signing up. Go to betparks.com and download the app right now and enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for Bet Parks. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, make sure your flooring is good. How important is good flooring? If you don't have good flooring, it's just not a fun experience. You need a home court advantage. So with Empire Today, these guys do flooring nonstop. And Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, which is super convenient. As they said, you get the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. Now, they have copycats out there, but they can't beat Empire today on quality. They can't beat them on service, speed. So they advertise low-quality products that Empire simply will not carry. And here's a cool thing. Empire's got this virtual floor designer software. So they come to your house, they take a picture of your room, then you pick out a couple flooring samples, and they mock it up right there on the computer. You can see what the flooring looks like in your house, so there's no worrying and guessing. And they pride themselves on their warranty. They service their own work, so you don't have to worry about anyone calling a third party to get someone out there to fix it. If an issue does arise, just call Empire. They service all the warranty themselves. You want to track down a manufacturer's phone number? An important thing about Empire, those big box stores, they got flooring people, but those flooring people were probably doing plumbing the day before or putting light bulbs on a shelf the day before that. These Empire guys and ladies, all they do is flooring. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code PHLY. $350. That's legit. Use the promo code PHLY. Restrictions do apply. See empiretoday.com/PHLY for details.
All right, and now we are joined by the columnist from the Inquirer. It is the great Mike Sielski joining us today for the big story brought to you by TrueMark Financial. How are you doing this morning, Mike?
You guys have a low threshold for great, but it's good to be with you.
Absolutely. The legendary Mike Sielski. The
Oh, my God, that's even worse.
The provocateur,
yes.
Mike Sielski.
There you go, VG. That's more accurate.
Outstanding. I have been trying to shoehorn hockey in all morning already, Mike. So I'm going to get to it right off the bat. I wanted to get to a few questions about your column from a couple of days ago, and this Flyers goaltending issue that has plagued them, most of my life, but really these last couple of years in terms of being able to assess everybody else. You mentioned, the trade-off of bad goalie equals better draft pick, but then it's kind of hard to assess everyone else. I wanted to get your take on evaluating players right now in front of, the league's worst goaltending, and is it actually holding back the rebuild?
I think it is, just from a pure evaluation standpoint. It's really hard. Ask any player who isn't a goaltender, and particularly a defenseman, what the effect of having an unsettled situation in net is, and you get the same answer. You end up overplaying, you get out of position, you try to do too much. And look, is it a humongous factor in evaluating what the Flyers have and what they don't have? I wouldn't say it's like the most overriding thing, but it does make things more difficult. And the fact is that their goaltending has been so bad over the last 2 years that it's really kind of affected everything else. I mean, they're not even getting competent play out of, Sam Ersson here and there, but really nobody else other than that. And certainly nobody's been reliable enough that you could, if you were Keith Jones or Danny Briere or anybody else in the organization, that you could take a step back and say, okay, now we have a good sense of, Travis Sanheim and what he can be, or this young guy and what he can be. It just muddles everything else. In the same way that if they had an all-world goalie, it would be more difficult to evaluate the guys on the ice because the goalie would be saving their bacon all the time. As you said, though, unfortunately for the Flyers, it's been about 40 years since they had that kind of problem.
Yeah, there was what, a year and a half of Czechmonic, 2 years of Steve Mason in there. We're already up to Steve Mason.
Mason.
When he's number 2 on the list, it's, there's been an issue. My question, though, is, the Carter Hart situation unfolded last January 20th. They have had a couple of deadlines and an off season to address this issue. Why haven't they? Has it just been, well, let's evaluate the other guys and see what we have and then go from there? Or maybe a little bit of that stealth tack that they told us they weren't doing, but hey, if we're bad, so be it. What is the reason they didn't go out at last deadline or in this past offseason and try to fix this so they can assess everybody else?
I think it's a combination of both of those things, right? If they hit on a goalie like a Fedotov or, somebody else, let's, put Kolosov out of our thinking for right now. If they hit on one of those guys, all the better. And if they don't, okay, well, the benefit is we lose anyway and we get a higher draft pick. I don't think it's necessarily a conscious thing. It's just they're saying to themselves, Is it worth spending the money and resources to get a competent goalie in here for the first couple of years of the rebuild? Now they've reached the point where they really have to get somebody in there because it's just counterproductive not to. I think the same thinking applies to what they've done with the roster, right? It was the same sort of thinking that compelled them to go draft Matvei Mishkov. They have to take steps where they are kind of swinging big. And if they connect, then okay, it's a home run for them, right? That was the whole thinking behind Fedotov was, all right, let's take a shot on this guy. If it works out, incredible, we've got a goalie. And if it doesn't, all right, well, we're not setting ourselves back too much, but they're still setting themselves back. Fedotov's not going to be part of their future, and they know it now.
I don't watch it as much as this guy next to me watches it, but when I read your column, I thought Ursan is like a middle of the road goalie. Their save percentage is dead last in the NHL. I was blown away by that stat.
Yeah, look, he's a backup, or he's a time splitter. I think I called him in the column at best, and that's at first that was fine because he was thrust into such a difficult position because Carter Hart wasn't around anymore, and as much as you can prepare for something like that, given the reason Carter Hart isn't around anymore, it's still pretty much a shock to the system. But he's nothing more than that. He's just a guy. And, you can make a case that in the NHL nowadays, you can get by with just a guy, but I think you need more than just one of those guys. So now they know, now they've got to stabilize the situation going into next season. And look, the way the NHL is now, guys, and you both know this, like you don't need Bernie Parent or Martin Brodeur. Like the position is nothing but like an assembly line of guys who are all kind of built the same way. They're all big. They're all athletic. You can go find somebody. You just can't be as bad as the Flyers have been the last 2 years.
All right, one more, and I promise we'll get to something else. You mentioned the never-ending debate was Torts the right coach for a rebuild debate. But I want to get a sense from you about his time, the 2 years under Jones and Briere, because I feel like maybe their biggest misstep yet might be a repeat of what was maybe Chuck Fletcher's biggest blunder, assuming that although there's a poor relationship between the team and the coach, an offseason will fix it, and they bring him back this year. Do you get the sense that the players were out on Torts since like last March?
Yeah, I'm not around the team enough to know it in that much depth. However, I did cover Torts for 2 years in New York when he was coaching the Rangers. And I can tell you without hesitation that his half-life in a locker room can tend to be pretty short, especially in a situation like the one the Flyers have where, yeah, you're turning over the roster a bit, but there are going to be guys there who are going to be there for a while, a guy like a Mishkov or a Sanheim or a Konechny or, guys who you want to find out if they're going to be there a long time, like a Farabee or a Frost, and we learn, okay, they're not going to be. That was always my complaint, I guess you'd say, or my worry about having Torts here was that just because a guy can't play for John Tortorella doesn't mean a guy can't play. And they had kind of elevated him to be this drill sergeant arbiter of who was going to be here for the long term and who wasn't. And it just got to the point where it's like, okay, guys, like, is this counterproductive? Like, just because Torts says the guy deserves to be benched or can't play doesn't necessarily mean that he can't be part of your future. And I think once Tortorella started sitting Mishkov over and over again, it was kind of like, okay, like this kid is responding to this really well, which shows us that it doesn't matter if John Tortorella is the head coach or not, right? Like if we were worried about Matvei Mishkov at all, we don't have to be worried anymore. He's handling this fine. So why is Torts here? If that makes sense. So look, I think the move was inevitable. They got what they got out of Tortorella for a couple of years, and now they got to go get somebody else, and that's fine.
I saw Coots was on a podcast saying, so, I mean, it seems like he lost them when he benched Coots. And he never, and maybe, they didn't want to just pay him to go away for a whole year.
I do think there's something too. They were paying Alain Vigneault up until like
I think
1st.
yeah. And especially because Briere and Jones came on board when Tortorella had just finished the first year of a 4-year, very expensive contract. So it wasn't like those guys were going to have the freedom to just whack him right away and bring their own head coach in. They were going to have to live with him for the money reasons, as you guys said, for at least a little while. They went about as far with it as they could, and now they get to pick their own guy.
Can I do one more Flyers while you guys are here?
Oh,
Sure.
it's your show, Greg.
So yeah. So what do they do with goalie? Do they sign? Because you got to have the eye for Zefragan is the future. You
yeah,
think
he's several years away.
several still 2 years?
Two, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can you find someone decent to come in on a 2-year deal or?
Yeah, Mike, you put in your column it's slim pickings. I have I think 2 or 3, maybe 4 guys they could sign this offseason, but that's not a huge list.
No, there were a lot of guys who signed long-term contracts during the season and got locked up, so they won't be free agents. And you're going to have to settle for somebody, maybe like an Alex Lyon, who's been here before. It's going to be hard, I think, to find the kind of guy who would really be beneficial to the Flyers. A guy who's going to be here a year or 2, maybe 3, just solid and reliable. He can be 34, 35 years old. Goalies are playing longer now than they have in the past. So, the pickings are slim, but you just need somebody at this point. You need somebody who, when an opposing winger fires a slap shot from 40 feet out, if Travis Sanheim is on the ice, he's not going, oh, God, I hope this doesn't go in. You just have to have a guy who lets everybody else on the ice know, yeah, I'm going to make that save. And then everything else settles down from there.
We're not asking for the world here, Mike.
No, we're not.
And it's minimum competence. All right.
It's amazing how hard it was for them to find anybody over the last couple of years who could give them the bare minimum.
I just want to get into your draft piece from this morning up on the Inquirer real quick. Great read. Check it out on the Inquirer website right now. I'm curious, how big of a role does Big Dom actually have in this drafting process? And do the Eagles really see his presence as a competitive advantage when they're accessing that character concern versus value argument that you made in your column?
I think he has a huge role. I really do. My colleague Jeff McClain has written about this a lot. He's profiled Dom. He's gone deeper on Dom's role within the organization as anybody. And it's not just a matter of him having the contacts and the ability to check these guys out, these prospective draft picks or free agents before they even get here. It's also the work that he does once those guys are here. We've written about this at the Inquirer, the lengths that the Eagles have gone to make sure that Jalen Carter has kept his nose clean while he's here. That was the example I used in the column. That was a very serious, troubling incident that Jalen Carter was involved in before he got drafted, literally the year he got drafted. And it scared some teams off. And it didn't scare the Eagles off. And I think Dom's presence is a big part of that. It's his ability to say, okay, here's what I know. Here's what I've learned about this guy. It allows them to make an informed decision, to take calculated risks. And they're still willing to take risks, guys. I know what Howie said on the Todd Boucher podcast last month about, certain standards or non-starters for them, violence against women, things like that. But you're not going to win Super Bowls and be at the level that the Eagles are at without taking risks on talented players. And they're going to continue to do that. And I think Dom gives them the feeling of security that they can.
Yeah, he seemed to walk it back a little bit during the presser. You were peppering him with a couple of questions, Howie. He seemed to walk it back a little bit so they'd have a little leeway with this draft coming up. Because there are guys with some questionable characters who rumors are that they have an eye on, like Green coming out of Marshall, I think. There's some suspect accusations with a couple of the guys. So I think the way you questioned it, he had a chance to walk it back and give himself some play.
Yeah, and he should. Look, he's not, no NFL general manager is St. Francis of Assisi, okay? They're out here to win.
Oh, nice pull.
And the Eagles want to get value. That's the reason the Carter move was considered so smart in NFL circles, was that, if Jalen Carter had a clean record, so to speak, he'd have been the number 1 pick in that draft. Mm-hmm. But what happened with the drag racing incident and the 2 deaths that tragically resulted from it is that it scared teams off. And the Eagles were able to take advantage of that. And they're always going to look to do that. And you're right, VG, Howie wanted to give himself some wiggle room there because they know as well as anybody that they can't stand back and say, well, if you have any blemish on your history at all, we're just not going to take you. That's not life in the NFL.
No, certainly not. And we've learned in the past, it's that weight of value versus character. Like, well, yeah, at 1, he's scary. At 9, this is genius. And that's it. It seems to have worked out okay. And maybe we have Big Dom to thank for that. Mike, thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate you jumping in, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, fellas. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. That is Mike Sielski from the Inquirer. And right now, I got to tell you about Parx Casino. Parx Casino is my casino of choice, and they have it all: action, excitement, and the headline entertainment. And they're right in the Philly suburbs, 90 minutes from New York, exit 6 off of the Jersey Turnpike. They are Pennsylvania's #1 casino. They have thousands of hot slots, a state-of-the-art sports book, a beautiful poker room, an all-weather beer garden, and a collection of award-winning restaurants. Parx Casino, this is how you win. And we have some just announced ticket sales going up right now at Parx. Comedian Brian Regan on November 22nd. Comedian Russell Peters on September 27th. A couple of headline acts there. Plus, tickets that have been up. You have May 16th, Larry the Cable Guy. Who doesn't? Come on.
Get her
done. Come on. You love Larry the Cable Guy. May 30th, country artist Ashley McBride. June 6th, the Sounds of Taj Mahal and Keb Mo. Clutches in concert, June 14th. Gary Clark Jr., July 3rd. Might have to look into that. July 12th, comedian Mark Normand. July 18th, this one's for VG. It's KC and the Sunshine Band.
Dude, I am not even kidding. When I was walking the dog with the Pagan this morning, I was like, KC and the Sunshine Band has so many hits. They have like 9 hits. I just went through their Spotify. That's going to be a banger of a show.
So many good songs.
So many good
Outstanding. Whatever it is, whatever your taste, music, comedy, don't forget dinner and drinks before the show at Liberty Bell Gastropub and Beer Garden. There's the Parks Grill Steakhouse, Bamboo Noodle House, or Old Reliable Chickies and Pete's. ParksCasino.com. Go there now to buy tickets for all your shows. Parx Casino, this is how you win. You must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, folks, it's April. You know what that is. It's Financial Literacy Month, and we've got something to help you get going off the field, teaching your kids how to handle their money. So if you're a TrueMark Financial member, you've got a great opportunity to help your kids and teens learn to earn, save, and spend wisely with this super cool and totally free Greenlight account. Now, Greenlight comes with this app, and it's not just any app. It's a total game changer for your kids. Whether they're setting savings goals, learning how to track their spending, or even getting their own allowance, it's all right there at their fingertips. And the super cool thing is each kid gets their own debit card. That's right. They can make purchases, learn how to budget, build real-world money skills, while you stay in control from your phone. So you get a peace of mind and they get a chance to make smart, responsible choices with their money. So if you're looking for a way to help teach your kids some financial plays this Financial Literacy Month, we can't recommend this enough. It's like training for life's biggest game. So head over to TrueMark.com/Greenlight to get all the details and sign up today. And don't miss the chance to set your kids up for financial success. TrueMark.com/Greenlight.
What do you make of this? We just talked to Mike Sielski about Flyers and stuff. Maybe we'll get back into them later because I'm going to force everyone out there to pay attention to this freaking team.
Yeah,
honestly,
if I got to do it, you got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, everyone's going to eat their freaking vegetables. Yes. But just getting back to that draft conversation, we've not made fun of, but kind of okay, what is Big Dom really for this team? And we know about the security, all those things that he does for the team, but it seems as if he has a large role, at least in terms of identifying players. Like, okay, this is an actual concern versus, kids are inherently stupid. Like, you're going to do dumb stuff. You're a kid. He's kind of the arbiter of that.
I think he's a huge role. I think he's got a way. He's almost like a great investigator. I think he can show up on a campus, talk to roommates, talk to people who live around the player, talk to local law enforcement. And then clear and be like, this is just a blip. This kid's going to be okay. But then when they come here, he's got a way he's like Mr. Wolf. He just fixes everything. He just makes everything cool and keeps them under control. I don't know. He's like a mediator. He's like a therapist. He's like a big brother. He's like a dad. I think he's invaluable.
It seems like he has, many hats.
Yeah.
You know, it was a couple of years ago when he almost gets in the fight on the sideline with the Niners.
Yeah.
It's like, what does this guy really do? And
Right.
people who know. But as the last couple of years have unfolded, we've really found out, I think, he does even more than you think. And that's and
he does more than we know, I would believe.
In terms of certain things behind the scenes,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But now we're finding out, like, it is a tangible, like, in the draft process, he's in the room, you know, or at least he has a list. Like, you know, like you said, he's the wolf. He's out there problem solving.
Yeah.
That's what he is doing.
He's pounding the pavement.
Yes.
And I think it's important where, like, if there's someone questionable, he gives, you have the scouting report, and then you have Big Dom give you, like, the background report and be like, yeah.
And
worth it.
We've talked so much about, you know, Howie Roseman, capologist, his ability to manipulate, you know, the salary structure and everything, and the drafts have gone so well lately. It's hard to argue with anything he's done. I mean, 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl in the last 3 years.
Yep.
Tough to argue any of his success. Dom might be a bigger piece of the overall success that I think we've given him credit up until now. I think now he's finally getting the flowers. But
yeah,
it's been.
I mean, I got hoodies.
Been more
Art History makes hoodies with them. They're great hoodies.
It was fun. You know, I go to some of the Eagles events at Chickies and Pete's with my wife sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like BG, big hit, obviously.
Sure.
Franchise legend.
Yeah.
After him, the kids lining up, the fans lining up to get pictures. There is no line longer than Big Dom. And people are wearing his merch. It is spectacular. Like,
there's sandwiches, there's Cosme's, there's Farina DeVita. They got Big Dom specials. It's wild.
the dude is it really is a phenomenon. It's one of those only in Philly things. Like
Yes.
the way we took an undersized center and he became, you know, a talk show host on ESPN at one point.
Yeah.
Like recording right around the corner from here. Like that doesn't happen anywhere else. This wasn't our quarterback.
Right.
This wasn't an outlandish wide receiver. It's just a beer drinking center.
Right.
I feel like Big Dom could only happen here. Like this story could only really work here.
You're right. It's so Philadelphian. Other people, my friends in Pittsburgh, are like, what is going on with this guy? It's like,
buddy,
I don't know.
How
but
much time you got?
Yeah,
you know?
he
And
does
apparently,
everything.
Yeah, it's even deeper. Like in terms of, yeah, you know, identifying Jalen Carter, maybe less of a bad guy, more of a dumb kid. And if we can just tell him, don't be stupid, it'll all be okay.
Yeah.
And it seems to have worked out thus far. I mean, they've already won a Super Bowl.
He seems to mend fences when there's players having arguments. He just keeps the locker room together.
It seems as if he's a
I would love
major
to-
part of the secret sauce.
I would love to
here.
know how he works. If he's under like a 4-year contract, if he negotiates, I can go to any team and do this. I would love to hear those negotiations.
All right, and now thanks to our friends at Bet Parks, it's time for the grind with Brad Feinberg.
Brain. Brad the Brain Feinberg.
All right, look at the big brain on Brad just to keep the.
Oh, man. You wear some Michigan today? Is that what you got on?
Yeah.
Love the blue and
Hell, baby.
maize.
The Victors. Hail to the Victors, man.
Hail to
Absolutely
the
huge
Victors.
Michigan.
All right, Brad.
Forever.
The question I just want to start out with, like, all right, NBA playoffs underway.
Yeah.
NHL postseason coming up, but all, you know, college basketball over, football's been over. Like, how do you like attack betting this time of year? Is it grind baseball every single day? Like, what is your overall take on like this time of year?
Well, again, I'm just working the entire time, and especially with the NBA. Usually, my biggest bets of the entire year, the NBA playoffs, split yesterday, and the 2 games I had live. I had Orlando, which won, and Golden State, which didn't get there. But that's my biggest thing is the NBA playoffs, the live betting. In terms of preparation for baseball, look, I'm just doing that. As soon I see the pitching matchups, I'm handicapping the props for the pitchers, how much I expect, how many strikeouts, how many outs, how many innings I expect, each guy to go. Game lines, what I think each game line should be. I come up with my own numbers, then the numbers come out. By people like Parks, and I say, okay, how are their numbers compared to my numbers? If I see enough of a differentiation where the number is off, I'm going to fire away and bet whatever that game is. If the bet is close, and if I set a line at Phillies minus 138 and the line's minus 135, I'm not going to bet it. But if it's maybe off like 25 cents, then I will bet it. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm always just, again, handicapping, always try to be one day ahead, making my numbers for the next day's games, next day's props. And then, of course, the live betting, which, as I said, the NBA playoffs is usually my biggest time of the year.
Hey, Bray, I've always wanted to ask you is when you say you have your own numbers, like I know you can't, you're not manually crunching every game. Do you have like formulas just set up that incorporate the matchups and then kick out the number that your system says it should be?
Well, more so when I'm VG, honestly, for me, it's more so the props. I set up my own numbers because that's where I'm betting most of myself is the props. Look, we always talk about efficient markets, VG, right? You being a pen guy, you get efficient markets. Like an efficient market is you say, oh, Brad, who do you like in the Super Bowl, Eagles or Chiefs? Let me make this clear. You can ask me, you can ask your 95-year-old grandmother, you can ask a newborn infant, who do you like with the Super Bowl spread? It's really going to be, the three of us are going to be pretty comparable about who picks the amount of games right, because those are such efficient markets. It's very hard to get an edge. But with stuff like the props, VG, I can only tell you, I'd say 98.5% of the time, when I bet a prop the night before, that line goes drastically in my favor. For example, like the Zach Edey bet, I bet over 10.5 rebounds, like plus 105. It closed at like 10.5 over like 150. Stuff like that. Like that's a more inefficient market. And I know, for lack of a better word, I know I'm going to be right. I can't ever guarantee success, VG, in terms of it can win some, lose some, but in terms of beating the number on the market and what it settles at, again, I'm probably going 98-2.
Wow.
It's I was a producer for a short period of time in the betting space, and we always said closing line value, that's the real win.
CLV.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
CLV. And it's interesting. I'll give you a quick story, guys. When usually, if it's a sharp sports book, what they do is they could care less what you win or lose. They don't even look at it. Irrelevant. You can win 10 zillion, lose 10, so they don't look. What they do look at is the CLV, the closing line value. So, for example, let's suppose you bet Golden State last night, minus 7.5. The line closed at 7. They could care less that you won the bet or lost. Well, they could, whether you win or lose, they'd be like, okay, you lost a half point in line value. Maybe you can close 6.5. But if you bet Memphis plus 7.5 to close 6.5, whether the bet wins or loses, like, okay, that guy was ahead of the line move. He was quote unquote sharp. He was on the right side of it, regardless of the result of that game. They're looking strictly at the line and how you did versus the closing line value.
All right, you mentioned the inefficient markets, and I said I'm going to try to shoehorn hockey in all day today because that's my thing. Just want to know, like, NHL futures markets, are they on your radar at all? Like, it's so unpredictable, the Stanley Cup playoffs. How do you approach the NHL's postseason if you do?
It's funny. It used to be, and again, I always say these things change. And what I mean by that is you always have to be willing to adapt. It used to be, I want to say from I was like, heck, man, I'll be honest, I've been doing this since I was in college. When I was in college, for probably a good, let's call it my early 20s, to I'd say till I was about 40 or so. I'm 54 now. Early 40s. I'd say taking the road team in the hockey playoffs was such an incredible moneymaker, because what they would do is they take two even teams, okay, and they would make the home ice minus $1.55, minus $1.60, the dog plus 135, plus 140, and there was a stretch of like 7 years where the road team won more road games. The road team had a better record than the home team did, okay,
Gotcha.
for 7 year stretch, and I was just taking plus $1.40 on these. I'm giving an example of two even teams every single time, and I was just killing it. Now that same game that was 160, 140 has become 125, 105. 1 minus 125 plus 105. They took away the edge, because you're taking plus 105 on these games. That's not taking it to heaven. So for me, I always looked at the hockey road teams specifically. Would never take a home team. Never. There would never be a scenario I would take a home team. And I say never, I literally mean never, because to me, I was never want to pay for home ice, when you could argue theoretically, because of the last line change, it should be the biggest advantage. You could argue it should be the biggest advantage of any sport, but for whatever reason, it wasn't translating that way. So I was always looking just for the road team and looking for the biggest edge I can get with that. But now, again, like anything else, when these efficiencies, when people figure out we're jumping up home ice too much, it's not worth 60 cents. It just isn't. It's become harder. But I will say hockey, I love the hockey playoffs, and I love the fact the only sport, you could argue all 16 teams actually have a chance. Only sport that's like that. You get hot with the goalie. These games are tough. They're hard to win. They're usually 3-2 grind them out. Close games that can go either way. You would name a team like Ottawa that hasn't made the playoffs since 1856. If they win the Stanley Cup, will I be shocked? No, I really won't be, because they're a good team that's playing well. And that can happen in hockey. I would just say I would never be very leery of laying big favorites, even in the series price, because I feel like any team is beatable.
A goalie changes everything. That's really what it comes down to. With that.
So he's making some bold statements here. So do you believe as a hockey guy that any team can win it if they're in it?
I think if you have a goaltender who can, if you have a guy who can get hot like that, like Ottawa absolutely does, and Linus Ullmark, he won a Vezina Trophy 2 years ago, definitely. Columbus, like I thought they were first round fodder, and now this goalie they just brought up, Jet Greaves, is he's impossible to score on apparently. Like maybe that changes a first round matchup a little bit if they get in.
It could. Yeah.
Go ahead, Brad.
Well, you've seen it. Like, I mean, I grew up in, I went to school in Michigan, obviously, and I used to remember the Red Wings would like finish with the best record in hockey, and they would like lose in the first round, and people would just be like jumping off. Oh my God, I can't take it. But you say, oh, they choked. I don't think it's them choking. I really don't. I think it's just hockey inherently, I just think is a very, very difficult sport, that even if you are the better team, the margins of you being that better team are far smaller than the margins, let's say, in the NBA. When you see Boston's going to play like Orlando or Boston against whoever they're playing, or Atlanta, they're going to win that series quite handily. Hockey, it just doesn't go like that. It's more, in football, again, if you have like the Eagles playing some, really bad team that makes the playoffs, those margins are bigger than, an NHL series price, which, again, quite frankly, again, the lesser team, it's like baseball, VG. Like the worst teams in baseball, you guys usually win 40% of their games. The worst teams usually go 60-100. They win about 40% of their games. Hockey, same thing. It's like the margins just aren't that big for the better team. So you get, more variance for sure versus other sports.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at these home and away splits on these teams. It seems like home ice, it seems like it's a valid advantage.
No, but in the playoffs, travel's the same. I always say in old economics terms, I had ceteris paribus, all things being held equal.
So you're saying playoffs.
Again,
so playoff
right.
hockey is different than regular season hockey for the home.
I think so.
Okay.
I think the playoffs are different. Travel is the exact same for both teams.
Okay.
Again, theoretically, I always say, listen, you choose to be in life consistent or choose to be right. If the data changes and shows that home ice starts to mean something, then I'll start singing the praises of home ice.
Right.
But I could just say for many, 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 many years I was doing this, it was not like that. And I was killing it, taking big prices. Some would be $1.70, $1.50 on games where I'm talking about two teams that both, let's say, had 104 points. I'm talking two even teams, and then just depending where the game was, you take plus 150. Think of it like this. If you're laying $1.70 and two even teams back in the day, just think about this, VJ. You have to go, and I told you play 27 games, two even teams, and I told you that team went 17-10, you'd be like, oh my God, that's the most insane thing ever. Two even teams, you went 17-10. That's the most incredible 27-game stretch in the history you could ever play. Well, guess what? If you're laying $1.70, you're breaking even.
Wow.
Because when you lose your 10 games, you're losing 17 units.
Right.
So just think about that. So it probably puts, and again, if you're the lesser team, if you only have to go win 2 out of 5 to break even, if you're an even team, you're going to win more than 2 out of 5 games. I don't care, home ice, no home ice. You're just going to. Yeah. But they picked up on that and cleaned up on that. But look, regular season, I know, over a long run, regular season, the home teams usually always do have a better record. But postseason, it usually, for whatever reason, it thins itself out because, again, everyone's travel is the exact same and motivation's the exact same. And,
Can I ask
I
you,
think those are some of the reasons.
Just switching up, I saw a trend yesterday. I want to know if you had this trend. You know the Tampa Bay Rays have not won on April 15th in 14 years.
All right. No, VG. All right. Listen, you're smart. Let me
You
ask
won
you a
that
question.
one
I need to know.
yesterday? That's a
Okay,
trend,
let me
man.
ask-
That's like 13-0.
I'm going to ask you a serious question. I want you to be
Yeah.
honest with me. I'm asking.
Yeah.
Is that a trend? Because you're a smart guy. Is that a trend you believe in?
I believe in mystical powers of the world and the universe. So maybe there's just something happening on April. It's 13-0.
Okay, all right. Because
and
okay,
on else
because for
14-0.
right, for me, there's valid trends, and then there's trends where you say, "Oh my God!" Like on a Wednesday after someone had 4 slices of pizza, some had pepperoni, some
Nobody's
had
saying
anchovies.
that. This is just April 15th. Tax deadline. Maybe the Rays have issues with the tax deadline day. I don't know.
Let me ask you a question, BG. Okay, all right. Again, if you want to debate, we'll debate this. Let's just even go back 3 years ago, VG. Out of the 25 players on Tampa Bay, how many do you think were on that team 3 years ago?
That's what
5?
I'm saying. It's just some mystical force of nature you can't argue with.
And we should always put money on mystical
Well,
forces.
Yes.
By the way,
Yes,
let me make this clear.
exactly.
I'm arguing with it at the highest level because hey, listen, there is no validity to it. It's like saying, let me ask you a question, VG. If you say, whenever I go to Parks Casino, every single time I go to this roulette machine, it always comes up red. And I mean, are you going to think it's just going to continue to come up red, or are you going to say, all right, it's going to come up
let's
black
say
eventually?
If I go to Parks Casino today on April 16th and I hit for 2 G's on a slot machine and it happens on the next 3 April 16th, you think I'm not going to be there on the 4th April 16th or the 5th? Of course.
I'm not saying you're not going to be there. I'm going to say the odds are going to catch up to you.
Well, we'll
That's
see
what
it.
I'm saying.
I mean, 15-1 I would take.
All right, gentlemen,
bro,
what's
that's
going on
true.
with this battle royale?
Oh, yeah. So how'd you do last night?
Let me just say something.
I'm catching
you know
up
what's
on
funny?
you.
No. You know what's funny? I bet 7 things in the late game, the Golden State game. 8 things. 8 things. I won 8-0. How many of those 8 did I give out? I gave out 1.
Nah, I don't want to hear.
That
How'd you
one.
do on what you gave out?
Horrible. 1 and 3.
Nice.
I picked the wrong stuff to give.
I'm calling. You hear trash
I was
man's
like so
coming.
angry last
Trash
night.
man's coming. I went 2-1
I was
last
so
night.
angry.
I'm the trash man.
So angry
I'm
last night.
4-11 now. I'm creeping up on you.
Yeah, look, I think I'm I think I'm 7-11. I think that's I was 5-5, 6-8. I think I'm 7-11. I think I'm at 1-3 last night, which is just abysmal up. But I got 5 things for today.
All
I
right.
got 5 things for
I'm
today.
going for you. Went first yesterday. I'm going first today.
You got it, bro. Let's do it.
Give me I'm going the Twins over the Mets today. Looks like a thin line to me. Twins minus 118 on the park site.
Okay. This one, I don't know which is the better way to attack it, 5-inning line but I'm just gonna go this one. I'm gonna go Robbie Ray. Sorry, Phillies fans. Plus a half run on the 5-inning line against Aaron Nola. Look, I'll be honest. Like I think the wrong side's favored here. Honestly, I do. I took plus 143. I think on the 5-inning line, but I'm gonna give it plus a half run. Laying 105. It's basically no juice because you know what? There's a good chance it's 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. I like the Giants getting a half run. Right now, Aaron Nola always struggles beginning of the year. Ray's pitching well. Again, I think the wrong side's favored.
Man,
like
we're
Giants.
head to head on
Give me
this
a half
one.
run.
Head to head. I'm going Phillies run line for plus
Oh.
150. Phillies minus a run and a half today behind that arm of Aaron Nola. Yeah, buddy.
Let's think about this, VJ.
I
Let's
don't need to
this.
think about it.
Again,
I made my decision. We're good. The bats are back
Let's
last
go.
night. You watched last night? Bohm's hitting, Marsh making contact.
All right. Well,
why.
listen, I like it. You know what? Maybe we both win. Maybe it's 2-2 after 5, and the Phillies win 5-3.
Maybe.
Not impossible.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Strider versus Chris Bassett. Strider's first game. It's funny. Last night, I had under 4.5 VG in the game. It's 1-1 in the 5th inning. I need Schwallenbach not to give up 3 runs in the 5th inning. He gives up 3 runs in the 5th inning, and I lose. I'm
That was
going
one of my
back,
wins
same
yesterday.
game. Yes, it was. Good call, but they won easily, 6-3. I'm going to take Bassett Strider under 4.5 runs. Strider, I think, should give up 0 or a run. Bassett's been pitching great. I thought this total should have been 4 to maybe even 3.5. I like under 4.5 runs, 5-inning line that game.
All right, I'm going Cleveland, Baltimore, Over 8. Over 8 right now it is. I thought it was 8.5. Over 8. I love it.
Gavin Williams against who? Is the game?
It's a gas can for the Orioles.
Oh, it's funny. Everyone in Baltimore is a gas can, so I know you're right. They don't have anyone.
Kramer.
Yeah, Dean Kramer. Yeah, Dean Kramer. Yeah, I agree with that side. I'm going to take Mitchell Parker, Washington Nationals pick. I mean, it's basically a round of pick against Bailey Falter. I think it's minus 112 of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think Parker's actually an above average pitcher. I think Falter stinks. Nationals not a good team, but this is the game. Again, this is a trash man game. You should respect this. 2 bad teams, but I think I have a far better pitcher. I'll take him in a pick.
All right. You got any other props for tonight?
I do, and Daniel Gafford, last 19 games. No, it's funny. Karis LeVert hurt my feelings again. 5-25. He gets his 5 rebounds yesterday. Daniel Gafford, 17-2 over 4.5 rebounds. I'm going to take over 4.5 rebounds. I just have to do it. 17-2. He's averaging over 6. The odds are in my favor. And then Najee Marshall, Dallas Mavericks as well, under 4.5 assists. This was I laid $1.40 something on the juice. It wasn't cheap, but he's 15-7 under 4.5 assists. Playoff games usually lower scoring. I thought the number should be 3.5.
Cool.
All right. Thank you very much. That is Brad
Appreciate you guys.
Feinberg, our friend from Bet Parks. Check him out on Twitter at Brad's Best Bets. Now we got to tell you about our friends at Rite Aid bringing you this next segment. Rite Aid is our presenting sponsor for this segment. Coming up here, I will absolutely, after 2 years, figure out which camera to look into and when to talk. I promise. But coming up, joining us now, it is our friend Todd Zolecki, joining us, MLB.com Phillies beat writer and composer of that Phillies beat newsletter. How you doing this morning, Todd?
Good. How are you guys doing?
What's up, Todd?
Very well.
What's happening?
Very well. Todd, we are 17 games into the season. That's 10.5% of this regular season. So it's time for some serious sweeping declarations. Obviously, on April 16th, that's what we got to be doing. But Todd, through these first couple of weeks, I just want to know what's your biggest surprises, positive or negative, for the Phils so far?
Biggest surprise, I guess. I don't even know if it's a surprise, but just generally speaking, how good Jesus Luzardo's been and how much that's kind of impacted the rotation and how much more comfortable it's made the Phillies feel about the rotation going forward in terms of their starting pitching depth. And I know he got hit, gave up a bunch of runs the other day, but Taijuan Walker actually had pitched pretty well. He throws that double play ball to second base, doesn't make a bad throw. He gets out of that inning, I think, the other day with only allowing a run to score, and who knows what happens the other night. But I think the starting pitching actually has been kind of the bright spot to this team so far. And on the flip side, I guess, of course, just the slow starts of Alec Bohm and the slow starts in the outfield collectively of Brandon Marsh and Johan Rojas has kind of jumped out at me. You talk about 10.5% of the season and sweeping decorations, and that's kind of been the funny part to me over this last week is how people are just. I've heard people say I'm done with Alec Bohm, and I'm done with this team, and they're not going to go anywhere. And I guess having covered this team for a long time, I remember they were off to a 4-11 start in 2007. They were 7 down with 17 to play in 2007. I remember they were down by a few games to the Mets in mid-September of 2008. Came back and won the division. So it's a little early for anything, right? I mean, and I think people kind of need to take a step back sometimes and remember, like you said, there's 89.5% of the season to go. Still, so a long way to go.
Good math there. Excellent work. One of those people that sometimes, one of those players on this team that sometimes we all have to take a little step back on. VG and I have already argued about him today. On the mound tonight, Aaron Nola. You mentioned the starting pitching, bright spot so far, but he's 0-3, about a 5.5 ERA. He was better last time out, but walked 4 in 5 innings. Yeah. What should we even expect? What should our expectations be of Aaron Nola at this point? I know, like I get frustrated with him and then see his stats at the end of the year and go, yeah, he's good. I don't know. Is it just that?
Yeah.
Is that what we should be thinking about him?
Yeah, I think he kind of is, who he is. He's going to give up home runs because he doesn't have an overpowering fastball. So he's got to locate all of his pitches, particularly his fastball. So, yeah, when your fastball is 90, 92-ish and you don't locate it, it's going to get hit in the big leagues today. I mean, big league, I feel like a big league average fastball is like 94, 95 miles an hour these days. And, so he's going to give up home runs, and he's going to have the quote unquote big inning where he's cruising through 4, or he gives up 4 runs in the second inning and then cruises the next 5 or something. That's just going to kind of be the pitcher that he is. But he is somebody that at the end of the season is going to have around 30 starts. He's going to have around 190, 200 innings, and that's super, super valuable to a pitching staff in a day when most guys kind of do the 5 and dive, or most almost prefer a 5 and dive type of guy when going to the bullpen and leaning on the bullpen. He pitches every 5 days. He generally pitches pretty deep. He will have those bad starts in there, but I expect at some point he'll get going and kind of get locked in and go on a little bit of a run. That's kind of been his thing, So I'm not worried about Aaron Nola. He hasn't pitched great so far, but I still think there's a lot. If you asked a lot of teams in baseball, could you guys use Aaron Nola right now? I think a lot of teams would absolutely love to have him in their rotation.
Yeah, man. I was trying to argue, like, when you look at all his stats, he comes up as a top 30 pitcher no matter what stat I was trying to sort by. And I don't know, there's 30, 32 teams in the league. He's like a 2A. He's a 3 here, but he's a solid 2 on most rotations, I feel like.
Yeah, what's funny? So when he got drafted many years ago, the thing on him was like, he's not an ace. He's a first round guy, but he's not an ace. And maybe he'll be a middle of the rotation guy. That's still pretty good if you're a middle of the rotation guy in the big leagues. And then he came up and he started kind of finding his groove, and he had a really good year. I can't remember what it was in like 2017 or
16
18
or 17,
yeah, he had like an 8-9 WAR, and also it's like, oh, this guy can be an ace. This guy can be an ace. And then ever since then, he hasn't kind of like matched that season. Everybody's like, oh, he's not. Everybody says he's an ace, but he's not an ace. So it's just kind of funny how the narrative has changed over time. And yeah, he's not a true ace like a Zach Wheeler or a Garrett Cole or Max Scherzer in his heyday or whatever. But you're right, he's a very solid number 2, 2A type of guy that a lot of teams would kill for in their rotation. And I think, because he doesn't have the overpowering fastball, maybe sometimes, again, the home runs are super frustrating, and I know they're frustrating to him. But he's you look at his career with the Phillies. I think right now, career WAR, I don't know how much value you guys put in any of that stuff, but he's one of the best pitchers in Phillies history. Just in terms of his overall consistent production over the years.
I think people are concerned because of the length of the extension when he re-signed here.
Sure.
So, I mean, do you see, because he's not a high velo guy, he's pretty durable. Do you see him being able to sustain what he's got now for 4 or 5 more years?
Well, that's a great question. Is he going to be this guy in year 6, year 7? Is he going to be that guy this in year 5? That's difficult to say. But the fact that he's not a huge velo guy and really hasn't been makes me think that he can maintain this, for a few more years. Again, I don't know if it's going to what year 6 or what year 7 is going to look like, but knowing how much teams are paying for starting pitching, like good quality starting pitching, even if he's not, a 2A guy by the end of it, and he probably won't be, but if he can still go out and give you 28, 32 starts a year, 175, 200 innings a year, again, there's real value in that. You see guys sign like Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson and some of these pitchers just sign 1-year deals, and they get a lot of money just because people can't find good starting pitching somewhere. So even if he doesn't kind of continue to pitch as he's pitched the last few years, I still think he's going to provide value to this rotation. And just having a guy you can plug in every 5 days and give you a quality start.
We had talked about, I mean, he's making a 24 mil, which people are attached to, but that's not a lot for pitchers these days. And I'm just looking, I'm stuck on Nick Pavetta's next year. He's getting paid $20 million next year, Nick Pivetta. And Aaron Nola feels like another stratosphere compared to Nick Pivetta.
Totally, yeah. I mean, you think, yeah, Nick Pivetta is another great example of that. Nick Pivetta, Kyle Gibson, some of those types of guys. I mean, Nick Pivetta is obviously a lot younger than Kyle Gibson. He's got better stuff. But the point being is that, yeah, that starting pitching is super, super expensive. And at the time, you always have to go back and think about. I always tell people this, like, when you sign Aaron Nola to a 7-year deal, it's like, oh, there's tremendous risk there, right? Or you sign, Trey Turner to a 10-year deal, or Bryce Harper to well, what's that going to look like at the end? Well, great point. Probably not going to look real great, but in the moment, you have a choice as a front office and as an ownership group. Do you want the player or do you not want the player, right? And so if you want the player, you probably have to pay more than you're really truly comfortable playing. Because if you really want to stick to your guns and go, listen, I'm not giving a pitcher more than a 3-year deal. It's just too risky. Okay. But then you're never going to sign a Zach Wheeler type of guy who signed a 5-year deal a couple years ago. You're never going to get Aaron Nola to re-sign. You're not going to get, the next great pitcher to sign a free agent contract with you down the road, or the next great everyday player to sign with you down the road. So it's just the price of business. So yeah, I mean, I think if you pull Dave Dombrowski over and John Middleton over and said, how comfortable, guys, are you really with that 7-year deal to Aaron Nola at the moment they sign it? They'd probably say, yeah, not that really, not that really comfortable with it. But we're trying to win a World Series, and starting pitching is super hard to find. And so we had a choice: bring back Aaron Nola, or get a Spencer Turnbull and just hope that he hits or something, and those types of moves I think are risky. They're less costly, but they're risky.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Todd. One of the issues the Phillies and Phillies fans have had with this team, last year into this year, it's that outfield. Marsh off to the slow start. Yeah. Johan Rojas didn't look good in relief of him. But Max Kepler, 4 of his 9 hits in April have come in the last 2 nights. You think he's starting to find his game a little bit?
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like the Max Kepler I've seen the last few days is more of what I saw every day down in spring training when he was playing. I was watching him in spring training, and man, he hit some bombs. I remember one in Clearwater, Baker Ballpark, that I think it left the ballpark in right field. Now, I mean, it's not a big league ballpark, obviously, but you don't see those every day in spring training. And so I saw a lot of those at bats. I was like, wow, this guy, maybe he was just really unhealthy last year. Maybe these swing changes really did make a difference. His bat, I'm sure I know you guys have talked about it or whatever, but his bat he held it upright with the Twins, and he's kind of flattened it a little bit, and helps him kind of get to the zone quicker, and he's moved closer to the plate, so he can kind of pull the inside pitches more and get to the outside pitches more. So I'm sitting there in spring training watching, going, wow, maybe it's just that simple for Max Kepler. And then he started the season. I think he had a good good couple of bats on an opening day, and he kind of tailed off. But the Max Kepler I've seen the last few days reminds me of the one I saw in spring. And if he can sustain that, it alleviates some concerns they've had right now about the outfield, which is not a lot of production in left field, and certainly not much production at all in center field.
Is there an answer to the center field problem other than Marsh has to hit? Like, is there any other answer to this issue, Todd?
Not in the short term, I don't think. I think they got to keep running those 2 guys out there. I think they want to give Marsh an opportunity still to see if he can hit left-handed pitching, but of course he's got to hit right-handed pitching first. I don't know if he'll be in the lineup tonight against Robbie Ray, left-hander Robbie Ray. It wouldn't surprise me to see Johan Rojas back in there tonight. But certainly they got to get it figured out in center field. And I've already gotten a bunch of questions from people saying, they got to call up Crawford, or how quickly can Crawford get to the big leagues? I don't think Crawford is in the short-term plans right now. He got off to a great start in AAA. He's still one of the youngest players in AAA. Then he's kind of hit a little bit of a rough patch. I think he had a hit yesterday in yesterday's game, but he was like in a 3 for 19 slump or something over the past 4 or 5 games. So could Justin Crawford push for something later in the season? Sure, but I think it would probably be, midsummer at the earliest. I think he's got a lot of things he needs to work on. But yeah, in the short term, I think they just got to keep running Marsh out there, Rojas out there. Now, maybe Weston Wilson, if he comes back, he can play some center field. He's pretty athletic. It's not going to be great a defensive center field as Marsh or Rojas can play, but if you can hit some, you can hit. Maybe you can overlook some of the defense out there.
Damn it, Todd. I need answers now. There's only 89.5% of the season left.
Yeah, I know. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. I know we got to make it happen.
Hey, Todd, I'm just thinking, Dombrowski's a super smart baseball guy, and he tends to be like a star hunter kind of guy. Going into this season, he knew what the issues were. Do you think there were some budget constraints of what he could do this offseason?
Yeah, I think so. I think for sure. I mean, the fact that the only free agent contracts that they signed were 1-year deals, the fact that they, didn't really even make a run at re-signing Jeff Hoffman, Carlos Estevez, I think kind of says it all. I think here's what I think their situation is. They're over that 4th luxury tax threshold. So every dollar spent over $301 million, they're taxed at 110%. So, you sign, Jordan Romano's deal or Max Kepler's deal, 1 year, $10 million is basically a 1 year, $21 million contract for Max Kepler, for instance. So I think what they tried to do this offseason is be mindful of that, but be mindful of the payroll, be mindful of the luxury tax, do their best to try to find like a good 1-year player to fill specific spots. So Romano, 1 year, $8 million. Kepler, 1 year, $10 million. Joe Ross, I think he's like 4.5 or something. I can't remember what his contract is off the top of my head. But do your best to try to fill those spots as economically as possible, to then give yourself some financial flexibility to make some bigger moves in July if you need it. I do this podcast with Ruben Amaro and Jim Salisbury, and we had John Middleton on just a couple weeks ago, and I think it was Jim asked him point blank, do you have payroll flexibility to do what you want to do in July? And he says, yes, we do. And I think that's because they tried to be smart about how they spent their money in the off season. So in other words, if they had thrown a 5-year offer, or I'm just trying to figure out, say they had signed Jeff Hoffman and gotten another reliever on two expensive multi-year deals. Well, maybe they don't have the flexibility to go out there and get another reliever or find a bat or something like that. But now they feel that they have the ability to do that.
The one thing that just sticks in my craw, I guess, is going through their prospects. They don't have a right-handed outfielder coming up that's you can count on for probably like 2 or 3 years at least. And with Teoscar Hernandez out there, it felt like, he got $22 million from the Dodgers. I don't know, $25 million to him, with the difference in like state taxes between California and Pennsylvania. That's considerable. That's a huge chunk. And I don't know, I was disappointed that it didn't even feel like they were trying to do anything with the outfield other than find Kepler.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's, I thought, Teoscar Hernandez, Anthony Santander would have made a lot of sense, but for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, they just weren't in on him. And I think, honestly, I felt like Teoscar Hernandez wanted to re-sign with the Dodgers no matter what. Sure, if the Phillies had blown the Dodgers out of the water, right, money talks. Mm-hmm. But I feel like Hernandez, he just wanted to go back to the Dodgers. He had a really good year with them last year, and I don't know what it would have taken, but clearly the Phillies weren't playing in that end of the market this winter.
Can they compete with this mentality with the Dodgers and the Mets? They seem to be just spending whatever they want.
Yeah, well, the Phillies still have, I think the 3rd highest payroll in baseball, 3rd or 4th, depending on what you go to. I think Fangraphs has the Phillies with the 3rd highest payroll. I think USA Today has them with the 4th highest payroll. So it's not like they're not going out and spending money. And again, I do think that if they say Kepler really struggles, or say it's just not working in center field, and Justin Crawford is kind of struggling, again, being one of the younger players in AAA this season, and they need to go out and get a center fielder. I think if they can make a trade for a center fielder, I would be stunned if John Middleton is approached about this and said, hey, there's a guy out here. I'm not even sure who would be available. But, hey, John, we can go out and get a guy that can play some center field. And this guy we can add, he can hit in the middle of this lineup, and he can provide some balance. And I really think this is going to help us down the stretch and in the postseason. I would be stunned if John Middleton said, yeah, I don't want to spend the money on that guy. You know, if it's like, I could see him saying, I don't want to trade Aiden Miller and Justin Crawford and Eduardo Tait for that guy. I could see him maybe saying that in terms of the prospect cost, but in terms of the payroll cost, I think, you know, John wants to win. He's talked about his legacy a lot. And, you know, when it, you know, 50 years from now, you know, he wants to be known as a guy that helped the Phillies win another World Series or 2 or 3. He doesn't want to be known as a guy that just, you know, owned the Phillies.
I would really appreciate if they doubled their franchise total in World Series. That'd be nice. That would be tremendous. You know, he wants his effing trophy back. So let's see if he can get it. Todd, thank you very much for your time this morning. Problem. Really appreciate it. That's MLB.com Phillies beat writer Todd Zolecki joining us.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See ya.
You as well. Thanks to our friends at Rite Aid. And now VG is going to sell you some furniture.
Who doesn't need good furniture?
Everybody does.
I mean, you want comfort. When you're at home, you want comfort. And our friends at Ashley Furniture, they got you covered. Spring's here, flowers are blooming, and low prices are blooming over at Ashley Furniture. So spring in some savings at Ashley. Save up to 50% off living rooms, bedrooms, dining rooms. They have it all. And check it out, delivered for free. Plus, get long-term no-interest financing, save on top brand mattresses, and get free delivery, setup, and removal. So you don't have to worry about getting it out of there. But don't wait. This isn't going to last forever. So spring in the savings now at Ashley, South Jersey, and Philadelphia. AshleyFurniture.com. Financing is with approved credit. Minimum purchase required. Some exclusions may apply. See store for complete details. And check them out, AshleyFurniture.com.
Now, I got to tell you about our friends at Game Time. That's right. I've been telling you over on the Hockey Show for a couple of years now. Game Time is my absolute favorite secondary ticket app. It's the absolute best because it features like Game Time picks where they filter out the fluff and show you only the best deals on the best seats. Not to mention the all-in pricing. There's nothing more annoying than getting all the way to checkout. You've got your mind made up. You found some good seats. You're happy going to this event. And your price like doubles right as you're about to, hit place order. That never happens at Game Time because they show you the all-in pricing right away, fees and everything right up front. Same thing with the seat views. You get to the venue, you go, what's going on here? It never happens with Game Time because you get a panoramic shot of your seat before you buy it. And, of course, they have the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Now, we know there's nothing like the atmosphere of the NHL postseason. Unfortunately, going to have to take a little drive, maybe up to Newark if you want to check that out. Maybe check out some Calder Cup action with the Phantoms in Allentown. They're going to be in the playoffs. Check that out. And there is nothing better than heading over to the bank and being in the ballpark to catch our Fightins live. Whatever your pleasure, you got to use Game Time to get the tickets. You got to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
So important to get. Those fees at the end are such a gut punch.
When your ticket price literally doubles and it's like, okay, I have my mind made up. This is what's going to be. It just sucks. Like,
it sucks. What do those fees go at? Like, how much does it take to have the software up and running?
It's the internet.
Yeah,
it's automated.
I know,
You're not paying anyone to do this. You
know.
paid someone 20 years ago. I hate it.
Super frustrating.
Live events have been ruined by things like that. But luckily, you at least know up front with game time.
Yep, totally.
All right, VG. We just got into some more fills with Todd Zolecki. I don't know what you're thinking. You know, we debated all offseason. You know, is it Trey Turner leading off? It's Kyle Schwarber. And now we're, again, 17 games in, it's Bryce and Stott.
He's doing fine at it.
It seems as if this might be the best spot in the lineup to get him in there. It seems to be working.
I guess, he seems comfortable there. Whatever's working, I guess we go with. They always, a lot of the old heads will say, people like to know where they're batting. Maybe it's a little too much whipping Schwarber up to first and fourth, and I don't know. Stott's doing it. Maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he approaches it with a different mindset as a leadoff hitter because he looks better as a leadoff hitter than he does in like the 7-hole.
Maybe there's just less like pressure to drive the ball and more about just doing what he does and give you a good at bat. Like that's the advantage of Stott. He doesn't swing and miss a ton. He doesn't have 25, 30 home run power. He doesn't drive the ball like that, but you at least see a ton of pitches and give all the other guys what they need. Maybe that's just
and the pitches are going to be better pitches.
Yeah,
because not like he's got Bohm behind him.
He is hitting in front of all the $20 million guys.
Yeah, right.
He's got $100 million behind him.
Yeah. The one thing that struck me, the umpires, the last 2 games have been atrocious. And you think it's just a Philly thing, and like, oh, maybe it's this crew. But just yesterday, I saw this stat. There were incorrect calls, right? On balls and strikes, 28 incorrect calls when there were 2 strikes on the batter. And out of those 28 times, they were wrong 28 times. And they they should have been strikeouts 28 times. They end up being 10 walks, 3 singles, and a doubles. So those strike 2 misses by those umps are brutal. And they got to do something eventually. I like Bohm trolling the dude, putting the hat on his head to call for the replay. I don't understand how they can do this in spring training, how they can do it in the minor leagues, and why they just can't do this here.
It's just, we talk so much. We just talked to Todd, like, starting pitching is so freaking expensive because nobody goes 5 innings. And, 7 innings is a complete game now.
Yeah.
It feels like. And these things, like, this is what's costing you innings. If you want a little bit more efficiency, like you said, 10 strikeouts that turned out to be 4 walks and 2 doubles. Like,
should have been 28 strikeouts.
28.
Yeah.
Like, that's horrendous.
Right.
Like, that is killing the little bit of pitching that you can get in this league. I feel like GMs and owners should be the ones kind of leading the charge for the robot umps. Also, who isn't just tired of these freaking umps? Like, I just. They're consistently wrong and belligerent about it. They're like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? My strike zone's different. Why? Because I said so.
Yeah.
Who puts up with this attitude from anybody in life?
But I'm consistent. They're all like, he could be bad. He could be wrong, but just be consistently wrong.
Yeah. Like, imagine, like, if we had Brad Feinberg on, he's like, I'm consistent. I'm 0 for 100. Like, I'm consistently wrong, but I'm consistent. Like, we would put up with that in no other walk of life.
We actually have a video of all the bad calls that were happening last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So here we can take a look here.
Oh. Wow, that is a strike 3 and a perfect pitch, and he needs to get that pitch.
2-2. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that could have easily
when the
been
hitter makes that
3.
face,
And that could have been an at-bat that
this
ended
gets
with
into
the
the pitcher's heads then.
At the top of the
Because
order.
they're like, I should have been out of this inning.
Kikuchi does not get that call.
Oh, this is crazy.
Oh, did he go?
Did he go? It was right on the plate.
Wow. Also drove in a run. And that pitch.
This is all outrageous.
I know.
Nice work by you in this video.
Insane. They're all
They're
inside.
all either on the mark or in
Back
it.
from injury from last
Like,
year.
look at that.
That's
Right on the black, dude.
Sport coats for guys that wear sport coats.
Near the
Strike.
field.
These are all have 2 strikes on them.
Oh. Close on the outside, but
Dude, this is just outrageous.
Did not go and wasn't
There's the
a
one
call
Twitter
strike.
follow that, or it's an account that grades every umpire.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are like 87% accurate. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but you're missing a lot of pitches every game.
And that's, I remember, I just had to look it up. It was John Feinberg wrote a book, or Feinstein wrote a book back in the day. I remember seeing an interview with him. It was called Living on the Black. And he basically went, with 2 pitchers for a season. And one of them was Mike Mussina. And he asked me, Cena, like, when you were younger, you didn't let ball and strike calls affect you at all. And like these last few years, you've been losing it on ups. Because when I was younger, I could, yeah, man, I'll throw that next one 95 on the black too, so I don't care. I'm 36 now. Like, the next pitch is going to be hit for a home run. I hit my spot and I know it.
Right.
And you screwed me. Like, it has to be so freaking frustrating, especially with the short leashes. You only get so long. Like, this is altering careers and contracts because of a couple of innings.
Yeah, and you're right. I didn't even think about the older pitchers. I mean, if you add 6, 7, 8 pitches to their game, their performance, that's a lot these days.
No, and it's you're not getting a 7-8 inning leash. Like,
No.
you're out after 4 if it didn't go. You walked a couple of guys. Sorry, man. Someone next. Like,
Yeah,
that's just kind of what we're looking at.
And then if you see that, you're like, all right, I'm not getting that call. Like, I got to move it in an inch or two. Now you're like right over the plate, and you're gonna get smoked.
All right, I have to introduce this next segment, and it is brought to you by our friends at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. TrueMarkFinancial.com. Get your money right. All right, I want to get back into the Flyers a little bit
let's
because
do
I'm
it.
going to make all you eat your vegetables. You have to deal with this team. Super Bowl champs, Philly season, I don't care. Flyers season ends tomorrow in Buffalo.
Yeah.
They have long been eliminated, and they went on that little run after John Tortorella got fired. They went 5-1-1 in the first 7. And it was, not only has this season been a waste in terms of wins and losses, but now we are ruining our draft lottery position. Well, last night, with a regulation loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets, they are in the 5-hole for the draft lottery. And no matter what else happens, if they lose in regulation to Buffalo on Thursday, they're in the 4 spot.
Okay.
You can fall 2 spots in hockey, but you can also win number 1 or 2. And it seems as if this is a 5 or 6 guy draft. So being in the 4 spot is incredibly important for this team. Now, last year, everyone was like, oh, it's like the top 1, 2 guys, and then really it maybe ends at around 12 and then a major drop off. And the Flyers were like, we think it's 14 or 15. And then they went a little off board with their first round pick. And I think they've said we think it's 8 or 9 guys this year. Maybe that's just them covering their ass because they ruined their draft lottery position, but it's not the case. And Charlie O'Connor, my co-host over at PHLY Flyers, wrote in his article last night some of the, all of the scenarios for the Flyers. So for the 4th worst spot, they just need to lose Thursday in regulation. Buffalo also stinks, but they've been a little better lately. And as much as they probably need or could use another draft pick, they've had so many high-end draft picks for like the last 10 years. It's not as much about that for them anymore. So
they're locked into like 8th or 9th, the Sabres?
They are, they're in the top 10, but outside of like the absolute like bottom 5. So they need to lose Thursday in regulation to Buffalo for the 4th worst. They can no longer get the 5th worst. They can no longer have the 5th best lottery odds. They are locked out of that. They can get to 6th. That would be a bummer. Thursday's game against Buffalo goes to overtime. If they get a point, either way, they win or lose 1 or 2 points, they get the 6th spot.
Okay.
And for 7, they win Thursday in regulation. That is a disaster. If
And
they
the Flyers
win in
drop to 7?
they would drop to 7th in lottery odds if they win in regulation on Thursday.
Yeah, so that just can't happen.
It really, I know.
How do you orchestrate that?
It's very simple. And I know that they have made it their philosophy. We are not a tanking team. This is not what we're doing. But with literally 1 game left in the season and nothing else on the line, you need to play the hand you're dealt and start Alexei Kolosov. Like, it'll probably be the last time he ever appears for this organization, whether they loan him back to the KHL or they trade him in the offseason, whatever. But he is statistically the worst goaltender in hockey this year. You put him in the net and you say, do your damnedest, kid.
Is that enough? I mean, like, because it's an away game, right?
It is in Buffalo, yes.
I mean, you could scratch Michkov and TK and...
I wonder if they'd be interested in doing that. Now, they will have a lineup decision to make. Devin Kaplan, who just signed out of Boston University, he's going to make his debut. He is a right winger. Travis Konechny, Matvei Michkov, also right wingers. You could screw with this a little bit, or you could just do the most logical thing and take out Nick Delorier and figure it out from there. But Why not tell Travis Konecny, like, hell of a season, dude. Thanks.
Yes.
This is your night off. You didn't get 4 Nations off. You had to go play in that and practice. You're clearly banged up. Like, you have 4 goals in the second half of the season. Let's not break your slump in game 82.
I gotta say, I worry about Michkov, man. That Russian mentality. Does he know how to not go 100%? Like, he may put up a hat trick.
You know, Vakaitis in semi-pro. People have taken to calling him Vakaitis. Damn it, Vakaitis! Learn effing English. Like, when he slams the ball home and they have to give out the free corn dogs to everyone when they're trying not to win by too much. Like that. It's like Michkov, this 20-year-old kid who knows nothing but being awesome at hockey.
Right.
It's hard to get mad at him because we really need him to be awesome. But tone it down. You know, maybe go out the night before, have a little fun. You know, it's the final night of the season. Like, the last day of school. You're putting on movies, man. You know, treat it like that. Maybe don't treat this like Game 7.
Yeah. So I'm looking. Is there a big, from what you know so far, from what Charlie's reporting, is there a big drop off between like 5 and 7?
I don't think between like 5 and 7 is like that's the biggest drop. I really think it's like top 2 and then 3 to 7 basically the same.
Right, so
that's how I would look at it.
People
probably.
like this Misa.
Michael Misa is awesome.
Higgins
is really good, but this season he's dropped a little bit. Like, so it was probably the Higgins-Misa draft. And now it's, Higgins is in a group with some other guys while Misa is the best center and this defenseman, Matthew Schaefer, is probably going to go number 1.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way it's looking.
Well, it looks like, I mean, I've looked at like 2 or 3 mocks. Anton Frondel, another, he's the Swedish center, one of those. I never know the Norwegian countries. But there's Frondel, there's Phil Martone, there's like a group, Roger McQueen. I like that name.
It is.
Roger McQueen.
He has a back issue, which is I'm good on that.
Yeah.
I'm watching Sean Couturier go through one. I don't think we need another hurt guy after Nolan Patrick. But he does seem, if he's healthy, really good. There is a group in that top 6, 7 that if you don't get the first or second pick, you're still coming away with a damn good player.
Now, I know they always say draft the best player available, but they have 3 first-round picks. If they keep them all, would you be of the mentality to center?
Like, if it's not number 1, yes, go center. And it's pretty much, there's one, I think Phil Martone is a winger and the rest all project as centers. So you're probably getting a center. You don't have to reach. Like last year, I really believe, like, okay, Jet Luchenko might turn out to be nice, but it was a reach.
Yeah.
It was definitely, there were better players on the board. Now, you don't get paid to do consensus. You get paid to be right. Maybe Jet Luchenko turns out to be awesome and we're all wrong. But now you're in a spot where you're probably getting a center anyway. Like, that's what's going to be there. So that's helpful as well. But if you get the number 1 pick, I do think they like Matthew Schaefer a lot. And it's not as if they don't need defensemen.
But so they're at 5, 23, 27. So I'm saying, is it crazy just to draft a center at every one of those spots?
No, I don't think so. Like, I haven't dove into like what's going to be in the depth of this draft and what's going to happen in the 20s. And if this is like top heavy fall off, like there might not be a difference between the middle of the second round and the middle of the first round. So who the hell knows? But I do not expect them to make all 3 first-round picks. They have 7 in the first.
It's wild.
They're going to end up having 7. If Columbus misses the playoffs, which is likely, they're going to have 7 picks in the top 50.
Wow.
They're not going to draft 7 guys.
No?
Like, development camp doesn't take place in a lecture hall. There's only 1 sheet of ice. You only have so many locker stalls, you know?
Right.
Like, so I don't expect that to happen. I do think they're going to package some guys, try to make trades, try to make the team a little better this offseason in anticipation for when they have a ton of cap room in 2026. I think it's building to that. But I'd be shocked if they made all 3, but they need talent at every position. It's not as if, oh, well, we're set here. You're not. There's a reason you're going to draft like 5th.
I'm pretty excited, man. I mean, the next couple years should be fun here.
It should be a lot of fun to watch them build this with the assets they've accumulated. Like, they have so many picks. They've drafted a ton of guys already. They're going to have a bunch of cap room in the next year or 2. there is a path for them to be good again in 2 or 3 years, which I know that's what we always say. Oh, they're 2 or 3 years away.
This feels different.
This is different. Like, I'm really trying hard not to hold previous regimes against the new one.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, man, I'm frustrated because it's been my whole life. You know, I was born in '88. I didn't even get to see the fun '80s. This has been it. You know,
they were fun, but
it's not. Yeah, at least they made it. Yeah. They've now missed the playoffs 5 years in a row. Like that was not a thing. At least like for most of my life. But this
feels like the Sixers process when we were excited about it and we're happening and things were going right.
You can sell two things, hope and winning. And I do have a lot of hope right now. There hasn't been much winning, but I do have hope that there can be.
I'll tell you, I was watching soccer with Irish folks this weekend, and an old Irish guy said, it's the hope that kills you. Don't cling to the hope too much.
No, that's listen, and that's what leads to the like when you have the expectations.
Yeah,
like we talked about with Aaron Nola, like that one season where he was top 4 or 5 in Cy Young voting.
Yeah.
Well, then it become that's what we need out of you, and it's he's still really good even if he isn't that. Well, I don't care because he's not an ace, you know. And I think it is those expectations and that hope that ultimately leads to the crash. But right now, it's coming up.
So how did they maneuver getting Michkov here early? And do you think it's possible with Zavragin? And is he actually he's still young? Is he talented enough to play in the NHL right now?
Right now, I don't think so. Now, for his age, he has been killing it in the KHL. Goalies his age don't start anywhere. KHL is, if not the second, it's a top 3 league in the world. We're looking with Kolosov right now. He was good for his age, but in the KHL otherwise. Zavragin for a lot of this season was putting up top-end numbers. He's had ups and downs along the way, but he's really good. The thing that is giving me hope about it is we've seen now a bunch of Russians come over much earlier than expected in the last year. Started with Michkov. Montreal just got Ivan Demidov over when it was they're not going to let him go. He's awesome. And they're like, all right, we'll let you go. The Hurricanes just got a defenseman who also was, we're not letting this dude go for 2-3 years, and suddenly he's over here.
Why is that? Why is that happening now?
I don't know, because there isn't, right now there's no transfer agreement.
You don't have to pay. They're not getting any money to do it?
So maybe that's the case. Maybe teams are just anteing up. They found the back channels that no one cares when you pay off whatever Russian oligarch to get your guy over. Maybe they've just all found the proper back channels, but it seems to be happening. It seems to be loosening up a little bit, and that's very exciting because this kid could be like the franchise netminder.
Okay, yeah.
It's a long way away, but
I get excited
21 years old.
Yeah. I get his highlights are on X or Twitter. I'm excited every time I see him play.
It's definitely exciting. Listen, I want to do you know what? I want to talk about this Braves broadcaster thing because I didn't get a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I only get to focus on one team. I never get to do the real sports talky stuff anymore.
All right.
So it's Wiley Ballard is his name. He's the in-stadium
Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, the in-stadium Braves commentator.
Yes.
Walks around doing all the goofy, stupid stuff that you do in that role.
Yeah. We used to have Greg Murphy used to do it here.
Exactly, Murph's role.
Yeah.
The other night, I guess it was 2 nights ago now, during one of his hits, he ends up, after being egged on by the commentary team, asking a girl for her number. And now there has been tremendous online fallout from this situation. And I just got to say, I think there's a conversation to be had about the double standard. If a woman does that, she is ostracized out of the business 100%.
100%.
That's totally unfair. But is that what we're trying? That's bad. We can all say that would be bad. It's okay to have fun and just this isn't a real job. This isn't the Pentagon Papers. It's sports broadcasting on your local station. We're not trying to unseat Nixon here. We're just talking about the Braves for a couple of innings. It's wrong that a woman would be treated that way. Why hold up that standard? It's just stupid fun. Let's get to a place where a woman wouldn't be treated that way, not bring it the other way where let's treat everyone stupid. Like, that's what bothers me about this whole conversation.
Well, there's a couple of things. Like, that guy's in a bad spot because the broadcasters were putting him up to it and egging him on. So they're in his ear. And, you know, he's probably trying to get promoted and get higher aspirations. So he's like, all right, they're trying to get me to do this. And the other side I see is like, you know, women just want to go to a ball game and not have a guy ask for their phone number. That's just a whole nother issue going on. And they're making this happen on TV.
That's totally fair. It seemed as if they were, because they were in the segment, in on the joke enough. But also we know, like, we have learned, oh yeah, women, they're creeped out and they just laugh at us when we're being creepy.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's certainly, you might just want to go to a ball game.
And most likely gave him like the number for Costco or something, like some random number.
If you don't have the fake number down pat, you know, come on now. Come on. Yeah. But I thought the fallout of it was just over the top, and like, let's get to a place where it can just be funny rather than, well, this is how a woman would be treated. Yeah, and that's stupid. Like, it's wrong that like a woman would be kicked out of the business if they did it the other way around.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing because I see it how I see it, but I don't have the viewpoint of a woman.
Yes, it's difficult
in the business or going to a game. So if they're angry, I support them. It's not like for me. It's just not. I don't know that world and what they go through.
They're angry at the right thing, but I just feel like it's being applied in the overall response
I get what you're
incorrectly.
saying. Yeah,
like, yes, it's wrong. It's absolutely ridiculous. I was talking to John Marks before we went live today. Like, there was a woman in a baseball press row who she was like a student journalist.
Yeah,
just took like a selfie, like smiling after the team won. And it was, you know, then pans to the team celebrating the victory, and everyone's just, you're a journalist, you can't. And you know, baseball.
Oh, I saw that.
You know, baseball press
Those
boxes
people
are the baseball press boxes are the stuffiest, up their own A's place in the freaking world.
That's what I've heard. I've never been in that box, but I hear it's not a fun place to be.
It's just like the old school, like baseball, like we are journalists. Like,
yeah.
And I get it, but at the same time, again, man. This isn't Watergate.
No,
like,
it's not.
It's baseball.
It's not. But
they're hitting a ball with a bat.
Yeah, it's just it's just not the right place, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. I get it. I get both sides. It's weird.
You're trying to uphold the integrity of it all, and I get like.
And you're trying to have fun. You're trying to make the broadcast interesting, but.
There are other ways you can make it interesting.
Yeah, it's
though.
almost like
cat
call.
Catcalling is not like interesting.
Yeah,
you know, heckling
women
do
is not
interesting.
Yeah.
You
could always just be funnier.
Yeah.
If I was the guy in the stands, I would have went back and just punched the guy who was like, "Oh, get her number."
Like, does John Kruk and those guys? Do they need to be getting someone's number? No. Like, you don't need to be getting.
It's just a little cringy.
It's cringy.
Oh, it's definitely cringy.
It definitely just wasn't.
Definitely cringy. I just always look at like a local broadcast as kind of stupid. Like that.
Yes.
Like, and ours, notwithstanding, I'm not going to absolve ours either. They don't do anything that dumb.
Right.
Absolutely. No, ours much better than that. But at the end of the day, that's what a local broadcast is.
Yeah.
But yeah, be funnier. Do something better than that.
Yeah.
Show me the good food. I mean, who's better than Kruk, honestly?
Oh, yeah.
Kruk's not doing that. He's too worried about all the other fun he's having himself. I guess we can take solace in that. At the end of the day,
he says he's having fun. Sometimes he sounds like he's miserable in there.
There are plenty of times where he is just the grumpiest dude in the world. And also, like, that's baseball. It's a long freaking season, man. Right. There are just some days you're not in the mood. There aren't off days.
They were having fun with that wind yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Man.
That wind was nuts.
No, it was. Only a little bit of time here left, VG. And this is something I wanted to bring up for the back in the day, brought to you by our friends at Rite Aid. I want to go back in the day with you because I want to tie all this in.
Hey, you give us music? No music? We're going back.
I didn't want to cut him off.
People need to hear my pipes.
We're
going back. We're going back in the day with Rite Aid. Yeah.
Listen, I don't know the workflow here, man. Just cut me off. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just filling
you're
it.
killing it.
I'm just filling it today.
All right,
great job.
WrestleMania is this weekend. I spend a lot of my time listening to wrestling podcasts, and yeah, I'm shoving in all my niche interests
Yeah, let's
today.
do
But
it.
I'm going to bring
Love
this
it.
around to
Yeah.
real sports.
Love it.
So there's this storyline going on right now with Charlotte Flair, the real daughter of Ric Flair.
Okay.
And
Is she a wrestler?
she is a wrestler.
She is, yeah.
Yeah, she's really, really good, and she has been on top of the women's division for like a decade, and that is now leading to people just like blindly hating her. Now, she's a bad guy. She's supposed to be disliked, but there's just like a lot of the like online vitriol that goes beyond like, boo, I hate you, bad guy wrestler.
Yeah.
And the conversation has just been like, yeah, she's been on top for like 10 years, and everybody turns and hates dynasties. It happens. And I know like you see it with LeBron. You absolutely see it like the Yankees. I hate the Yankees. I always will, always
Yes.
have. It happens. The Patriots.
Yep.
It has even happened now with Pat Mahomes in Kansas City. You know, the Eagles, the bad guys, people were cheering for freaking us because
Yep.
they were just done with, that's Charlotte Flair.
All right. So she's been a champ for 10
She's
years
been-
almost?
She's just been, like in the women's main events for about a decade.
Wow.
And so everyone has turned on her. And it just led me to think, I wasn't, like, I was alive, I was around, but I don't remember the 90s Bulls, especially like the first half of it. I, of course, remember, 97, 98. And again, to tie back into wrestling, Dennis Rodman showing up in WCW and him and Karl Malone. So I was in on that, but I feel like the 90s Bulls are the exception. Like in my perception of things of that time,
Yeah.
there was so much reverence for Michael Jordan
Mm-hmm.
and that dynasty that they are the exception to, man, everyone hates the Patriots. Sure, I bet everyone in Utah hates the Bulls, but overall, casual, like the general sports fan just has reverence for those Bulls teams. Was there like a loud contingent of hatred for them that I just don't remember?
Not that I am aware of. I was so consumed with hating like the Lakers and the Celtics back then. And you just said, we all like the sneakers. We like the commercials.
Yeah.
Even when they had like Rodman's not that likable.
Yeah,
they
but
had
the crazy
cool,
colored
the-
hair,
but he's
the
just
tattoos,
wild,
the
like
gauges,
this Zen
like
Buddhist coach. I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
yeah, I had zero hate for the Bulls. Just mad respect. And also, like when you just watch Jordan play, man, you're just in awe watching. I could not hate the Bulls. I don't know. I could be wrong. I was so just maybe obsessed with the Celtics back then. A little bit of the Knicks because we had the John Stark stuff happening. They were like the Bulls were on a peripheral and they were just there. They were just great and they were beautiful to watch and well coached. And they made great commercials. Yeah, I had no issues hating the Bulls. It's weird that you say that because I should have.
No, that's like absolutely my interpretation of those 90s Bulls teams is they are the exception. Like everybody turns on every dynasty, and now today it's, oh no, you still can't touch Jordan. Like,
Nah,
no,
man.
LeBron's like 40, and he's like, nah, he's not Jordan. Sorry.
Yeah.
Nope, not close.
Not
You're right.
close.
All
Never
right.
will be.
All
Yeah.
right, cool. Like, and it's just, that's kind of the conversation still with that team, and it's been almost, 30 years?
Yeah.
And everyone has turned on Pat Mahomes. Everyone loved it, like hates him. Tom Brady, the Patriots.
Yeah,
hate
and
him.
it's weird because you could say there's like a saturation point you get with
Yeah.
it, but the
Yeah.
Bulls were everywhere.
Big Juicy Germ, he brings up a good point too. The only other person that really this applies to is Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods has had like a great career. Who hates Tiger Woods? No one.
He had like the personal issues, but I don't think anyone really turned on him for that.
Nah.
It was
Yeah.
actually just kind of like
The clubs
Oh,
through the
Tiger,
car
huh?
window. Yeah.
Everyone's tuning in on Sunday to see him wear this
Yeah.
red
Oh, the
shirt
Sunday
on.
red? Yeah.
No,
That
it is-
2019
it's-
Masters is still one of the best Masters ever to watch him that comeback.
Yeah.
absolutely. The U.S. Open on the busted up knee was it the torn ACL?
Yeah.
Like that was one of the I despise golf, and I watched that like in my buddy's bar because we were there on like the day they were closed, and his uncle was like, "You watching this?" And I was enthralled, couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
and I don't want to watch golf a little bit, and I still was like, "Oh, Tiger kind of rules," Tiger is an interesting exception.
It's weird because it's like,
it's hard to think of individuals that way, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Except I did name LeBron because he is an individual dynasty. Like, but
I want to say like, oh, maybe because it's the great. It's not. Well, the Oilers. I grew up in the Flyers and the Oilers. I didn't hate the Oilers. I wanted to beat them, but they were
Yeah.
just so darn good.
It
And
was just the
Gretzky,
measuring
just
stick.
amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Like, they were a dynasty for me as a kid with hockey, and I didn't hate the Oilers. They're my spite team now. I always had like a fondness for the Oilers because
Yeah,
of
you
what
got
they
the
did
hat.
and what they achieved. Yeah, I'll be busting the hat out once the playoffs start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Always.
Gretzky was a likable guy, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's maybe that has something to do like the personality, like whether it's just that like absolute killer who also makes awesome shoes and commercials in Jordan, or Gretzky's just like, yeah, I'm like the greatest athlete of all time. I have every single record, and you'll never break them.
Yeah,
like, and he's just
take
away
my goals, my assists still are more than anyone scored point wise,
and he's still just kind of normal. Like he just seems like a dude.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
I do guess like probably now, like the hot take shows and social media boost it so much. Like again, LeBron.
Yeah,
that's true.
There's a whole cottage industry based on LeBron alone.
For sure.
You know, that sort of thing. But I was just thinking about those Bulls teams. It's like, they three-peated twice.
Yeah.
They won 6 out of 8, and MJ was just the face of America, basically.
He's the man.
And it seems as if nobody really hates them.
He's still cool. You see us playing at the Masters? It
Oh,
was like
oh,
designed
yeah.
like the outside looked like the leather from his sneakers.
Yeah.
So
I'm definitely too young. I was born in 92, so I didn't really see the Jordan era. But like everybody I've ever talked to about basketball and Michael Jordan and that Bulls team, I've never heard hate. So you are right. There is like a kind of a love for him.
A reverence for it.
Yeah.
So even the Yankees going on at almost the same time, it's like the freaking Yankees. I
Now
hate
that,
them,
yeah.
you know, like absolutely hate them. Like the 0-1 Diamondbacks are one of my favorite non-Philly sports teams ever for one reason. They beat them.
You know what else is an interesting thing too, though? Like, I don't remember a lot of Bulls gear here. Like, there's always Yankees gear here.
Yeah.
You got a Chiefs bar here. There were Patriot fans popping up. It doesn't feel like, I don't know. The Bulls are different. They're like an anomaly.
That is interesting. Like it didn't actually reach here.
No, we had the
considering,
sneakers. We had the sneakers, but I
Yeah,
don't remember
yeah,
wearing
well,
like.
everyone had
I
the
didn't see a lot of
sneakers.
Bulls starter jackets
Yeah.
like where I was growing up.
Odd. And like the Sixers are horrible at that point, right? Like so that's.
They weren't great.
Yeah.
You can say that for almost any
You would think
any
maybe
period.
people would jump on that bandwagon, but it didn't actually.
So
happen.
a handicap WrestleMania is this weekend.
It is Saturday and Sunday this
All right,
weekend.
handicap it.
Yeah.
Who's winning? What's the upset? Who we rooting for?
There's a few real big main events. The big one, it's Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the heavyweight title. Cody finished his story last year here in Philly, won the heavyweight title from Roman Reigns, who had it for like 4
Head of the
years.
table.
Yeah, for like 4 years he was champion. Cody Rhodes does it, and now John Cena is back. He is already announced this is his final year in wrestling. In December, he is going away forever. He's going to do movies or voiceover commercials.
How believable is that?
I mean, it's wrestling. No one's ever
Right,
retired.
right.
People die and
Yeah,
they don't
yes,
retire.
right.
Like they're just, maybe his ghost will have a match. Who knows? Ric Flair could happen.
Right.
You literally will never see him if he does.
So John Cena now, he's 16-time world champion. He's going for the record 17 to beat the Ric Flair. It's a fake record, but it's a record. It's wrestling. That is the Sunday night.
Oh man! So hold on. So he's going to try and beat Flair's record.
Yes.
Flair's daughter's a heel.
Yeah.
She's got to interfere so he doesn't win and break the record, right? That's
Maybe-
got to be the writers.
Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's
She's got to
absolutely-
protect Dad's legacy.
I think you're onto something there,
Yeah,
man.
she gotta
You got a
protect.
plot point building.
I kind of like it. Maybe there's something there. But that's going to be the Sunday night. That's the final main event.
All right.
Main eventing Saturday is a triple threat match: Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk.
Okay.
And I am just the biggest freaking CM Punk
Are
fan
you?
in the world.
What is it about CM Punk you dig?
When I was in getting into the hardcore, watching independent wrestling and everything, middle school, high school, he was the hot name coming up. Downloaded his matches on Kazaa and LimeWire to see them.
Oh, wow,
in
really?
super blurry,
Yeah.
SD, whatever it was. And the guy, he's got a Bouncing Souls tattoo. I love the Bouncing Souls. Yeah, he just he looked like my friends. He was a freaking Punk. And you didn't really see that a ton.
Right.
And then he's been around for so long now. He quit WWE 2014, went away for 10 years.
Where'd he go? To another organization?
He
or-
just didn't wrestle for
What?
8 years. Then he joined AEW, got fired from there, and then finally came back to WWE.
Wow.
It was a wild time. And now he is main eventing Saturday night of WrestleMania. That is going to be a lot of fun as well.
You're hoping for CM Punk
All
on
about
Saturday.
Yes, hoping for CM Punk Saturday, and I want to see Cena win.
You
You
want to see Flair's record get broke?
You always want to see records break, whether they're real or fake. You still want to see records broken.
Nature boy, man.
It is absolutely. It's
having a hard time holding these gators down.
Is there any like big like crazy match set up? Where we're going to see some like a cage match or anything?
I don't think there's a ton. There is going to be one street fight. It is Drew McIntyre against Damian Priest.
Okay.
It's a Vegas street fight or whatever. It's Mania is in Vegas this year, so they just Sin City Street Fight probably is the name for it. So that'll be fun. A lot of weapons and stupidity and that sort of thing. As we have now, I'm hoping we haven't lost our entire audience.
No, we're good.
Do we have to do the overtime thing?
Yes.
Is that it? All right. Go to allphly.com now as we're headed to overtime.
I just want we'll be quick in overtime. There's just one thing. Now that we're talking about wrestling and street fights, I want to talk about one video I found of this woman judging a cat show. It's like Best in Cat. And the woman ends up getting just mauled by this cat, and she's trying to play her cool. And so I think it's kind of relevant. We'll do wrestling into the mauled cat lady, the cat judge.
You showed me the mauled cat video before
you got
before
it, Fraser.
we started today.
She's got ears on. The judge got cat ears on.
And would like to see
this is so good.
through 150.
Do you think she wears those ears
Yes.
just for this?
No.
Or every day?
Every day.
Everyday
There's
ears.
the beginning.
Everyday ears.
There's the point.
Every day minus 3.
Look, this cat gets on his back legs. Oh my God! Swat to the face. Boom.
Oh.
I need the owner now.
I need the owner now.
Like she's so mad. It's a cat.
That's what they do.
What? Yeah, this is how cats act all the time.
It's like a quick right hook right to the face.
You got her. Take off that costume. You're not a cat. This is catch-roll appropriation.
Yeah.
Always got to get one pun in.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it today.
Yeah,
VG.
dude.
That was
you did a
hilarious.
great job, man. Nice work today.
I did my best. I'm glad that you guys were able to prop me up and keep this show on the rails.
Great time hanging out, man.
But it was a ton of fun hanging out with Andrew and VG today. But this has been the Anthony Gargano Show, brought to you by our friends at Bet Parks and Parks Casino. I had a great time today. My name is Bill Matz. That's VG. Thank you to Andrew for the production work. Have a great day.
We all silly like the mayor.